Okay, we're good. We're live. Go.
Hey, hi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for popping in. We know how busy you are. I am serious too. I know I'm busy with,
Yeah, but
every time someone pops into my mind, I have to call them or email them. So that's what I'm busy with. How about you, Marcella?
I'm blessed with busy and in all areas of my career, with Lakeland Bank with client engagement, with the Suburban Chamber, with Warren Ladies Lunch, and a lot of connectivity. I will tell you, there's a lot of personal phone calls that I'll receive in the evenings now and on the weekends that I really didn't do as much of before, which I think is just really very nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm lucky to be part of some of your, lunch and learn. So yeah, busy with that. But I mean, I really feel, and I actually posted on LinkedIn, that's what I'm busy with, touch points with people, making sure that they know I'm thinking about them. Clients from maybe, 6 months ago, a year ago, could be 5 years ago. Just someone pops into my head and I just want to say hi and keep in touch with them. So anyway, I think, have a very interesting program ahead of us, and we did, I think, do a thoughtful view of what's going on. Marcel, I'm going to let you start with today's program. Maybe introduce it yourself, and you take it from there.
Okay, absolutely. And I'll have be my pleasure to also introduce you as well, and then you take it after the introduction.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to say we're a bifecta today because our tri is again on a virtual court appearance today. So unfortunately she can't be here, but we're here. So
yeah. We are here. We are here to assist you about getting on track. And it might be a very different track. But with that being said,
and we're not going back. And we're not going back.
That's right. That was a big point of that. We're not going back. That's right. We got to forge ahead and change a lot of thought processes and adapt and ever changing. That's why when we do send this presentation out and what the subject matter is, it is evolving. That's why we wait a few days before to send it out, because it's very thoughtful of what's going on in the media and in our lives during, this time, because it is evolving so quickly. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, first I'll introduce myself. Marcella Giancarelli, Vice President of Client Engagement and actually Manager of Client Engagement for Lakeland Bank. And also on the board for the Suburban Chamber, past president, as well as founder of Warren Ladies Lunch Group. Looking forward to today about talking about our first bullet is the focus on social capital and friend raising. That's why Susan and I started the conversation with how are you reaching out? What are you busy with as the touch point piece? So I'm going to go over to Susan and ask you, what does that look like to you, Susan Ascher, coach extraordinaire?
Well, I think, it's interesting. Most people only reach out to people. I'm not talking about your close friends and family. I'm talking about your sphere of influence, the people that are within your network, whether starting with your family, then your friends, then your colleagues, then your clients, then your sponsors, and on and on and on. We can, and this is a lesson, not just for today, Marcella, and everybody who's listening. When you want to have people in your corner, when you want to have people that are part and really are part of your relationships, it's not just when I need you, I'm going to call you. And we've all had that happen. Isn't that so tacky? Somebody will be like, oh, hi, how you doing? You haven't heard from them in 2 years. How you doing? Oh, by the way, I just wanted to pick your brain about something. I wouldn't mind that if that were somebody in my cadre of people that I know in my social sphere and my business sphere. So I think it's important to know that in these times, and surprisingly, I've gotten some calls from people that I never thought of calling, and they called me, and it's just such a feel-good thing. And to reconnect, and especially in this time, because one of the things we're going to talk about today is thinking and prioritizing about what is it going to look like, whether you're looking for a job now, or maybe you're on the cusp of leaving what you're doing. Maybe you want to transition into starting a new company. But every single person that you touch is someone who's going to be in your corner somewhere in the future because you took the time to reach out to them and make them feel important. Remember, we always go back to Maya Angelou, the great philosopher, who said, it's not what you tell me, it's how you make me feel. And we make people feel good in a time like this when we can't go out and see them. We can't have a drink with them. Well, we can on Zoom, but realistically, we can't do the things that we did do, but we can stay in touch with them. So that's what I'm actually spending a lot. Of course, I have some business that I'm doing, but more of my time is cultivating and weeding some of my relationships. You know, who are the meaningful people and who are the ones that kind of were just stuck in that Facebook group of whatever many people, or even LinkedIn? Who are the people that are really, that I'm close to and that I want to help and that I want to be with in the future? How about you?
That's a very good point. And that really does circle around the fact of the social capital piece and how you build that. How you build social capital is through going through that process and creating those lasting bonds and reaching out and having those conversations with not only just people that you see all the time, or that, like to your point, that are always there attending your events or in conversation or that you're networking with, but people that maybe you've lost touch with that do have such a high value for a touch point that you bring to them and they bring to you, and they add to your social capital and that you add to theirs. That is so important. And I do see a lot of that happening now. And yes, I do have those conversations myself now, which are very, I'm going to use the word enriching in so many ways. And that would not have been taking place had I not been home right now.
That's true. And, you know, I was speaking to one of my masterminders today, Andie. She's on the call here on the Zoom, talking about also, as we go forward now, and we're going to talk about prioritizing what looks like, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking to transition or you're looking to start a new company or you're trying to figure out where your company is going. We really want to, and I will say it over, and I say it in good times when people have something abruptly happen, as we have here in the pandemic, and that is to pause and reflect. Not to continue running like a banshee in the same direction that you've been running all along, because we're not going in that direction right now. We actually don't know where we're going. We do have to figure out something. It's okay to put down, it's okay to say, I'm going north, and then all of a sudden the compass changes and it says you're going south. Okay, well then you have to change. And I think the biggest thing right now that we all have to be is extremely flexible and open to the fact, and I go back to, for those of you who've been on some of these calls before, and one of the things that we did for CIA&J, when not one or two, but many of the people on the call said they couldn't wait till things got back to normal. Well, folks, that might be the end of 2021. Could be 2022. I'm talking about normal, the normal that we think, but I don't know if we're ever really going back completely. So.
Right. No, that's a really good point, and it's very, very true. We don't know if we're going back completely, or when and if we do, what that will even closely resemble, or how long that will take. That's why right now, as part of the conversation that we have when we put this together, was about coming up with a short-term plan with a long-term view. And that's why that is so important to do. And what does that look like for you, Susan?
Well, and it's baby steps, okay? And I'll just, you know, I'm going to use myself as an example. You folks know that I'm a coach. I do executive coaching, career coaching. I've always done Zooms and phone calls. That's fine. But how about my networking events, Marcella, which you've been to many of them? I'm not so sure.
Come up with a new way.
I actually thought, and I'm not there yet, either we will keep our June 18th and maybe we'll have 10 or 12 people in the restaurant, or maybe I'm going to find, hopefully it's the same guy, the same restaurant, or I'm going to find someone who can deliver a meal that people could pop into their oven and we could still have our networking and our dinner together. So I don't know, but I'm thinking, doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I don't know if it's going to happen, but at least I'm out of the box that I've been in. And the second thing is, and my coach told me this year ago, and of course I didn't listen because, you know, business was going in the right direction. And that is, she said to me, Susan, you have to start doing online courses. And I was like, and she goes, yeah, so you can make money while you sleep. because people buy these things and they don't
Mhm.
they don't necessarily need you face to face, but they'll buy a course from you. So guess what I'm doing?
You're
I'm
going to
running
create
courses.
course content.
So, and I have some of it already from a lot of the presentations, but that's me. Okay. Why don't you tell what you've done? Because, and again, and I think even for those of you who've been on the call, we are going to be somewhat repetitive because it's got to be ingrained in you that we are all figuring it out. Marcella, I mean, brilliantly figured out and really saved your job. Let's be candid. Okay. Marcella, you're a vice president of of client relationship, which includes all the events and everything else. And you woke up with this happening. And how long did it take you to re-engineer yourself and reimagine you?
I'm almost embarrassed to say 3 hours. I had a plan together. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of background. I come from entrepreneurship. So from coming from entrepreneurship, as a lot of yourself and a lot of folks on the call, you really always are ready for when the next crisis is going to come. What's your plan going to be? You got to be ready to think on your feet and hit the ground running the next day. You can't, there's no time to sit back and say, what am I going to do? I remember there's times we had economic setbacks years ago when we had the bakery, which we had for I was there for 20 years as an entrepreneur before my career in banking. We had to differentiate ourselves all the time. And you had to constantly be on a recreate journey with the consistency. And what's very interesting about that is that you can do that in almost any single business that you're in. It's not only having a contingency plan, but also being able to modify perhaps what you do in a different way in order to still meet your client's needs. So I know that part of my client's needs is the fact that I still need to be able to supply interesting, relevant content and the networking capability as well. So I had to learn technology from my iPad, and thanks to Susan, I have an introduction to be able to do Zoom and have the personal computer, so it's a lot more user friendly. But that was all new, but it was very necessary.
Which is another great point. I really still can't believe that I hear from people, oh, I'll have my daughter, my grandchildren, my friend, I'll have somebody else do that for me. I'm not interested in that. Well, we have to be interested in these things because, because, hey, I don't care whether you're 40, 50, or 60, you're going to be living 10, 20, or 30 years more. Okay. And that could be in any one of those age groups, depending upon your health and everything else. So, and technology is moving at such a rapid pace, and you can see, and I remember some of my friends when I was on a Zoom birthday cocktail in the very beginning of all this, and they're looking and they wait, what, where's the audio? And now, they're pros at it. It's just a question of getting comfortable with it. But the other thing about this disruption that we're in is that it will create innovation if you allow yourself to just take this moment, which I've actually been doing a lot over the last 6 weeks. I mean, busy as can be, have a purpose every single day. People have a purpose. If it's, you're going to listen to one educational kind of Zoom, if it's, you're going to call a couple of friends, that's okay. Okay. We don't have to be like working. I mean, when we reinvent ourselves, that's actually a lot of work. When you think about Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb, I don't even know. I used to know the statistic. It's some crazy amount of times that he tried.
That's how many times he failed.
How many times he failed, okay? Yep. Hours and days and months. And so it's not wasting time to try something new and to have that purpose every single day. But I think, and if you go back to the outline, I'm going to let you do that, Marcella. If you go back to having a plan, and even a plan, we don't know if it's the right plan yet, but it's a plan. You're trying something. You're not just waiting, because, wait and hope. And I've always said this, they are not strategies, and they work once in a blue moon, but they really don't work for people who really want to be successful in what they're doing.
No, that's very true. And we also spoke about making your touch points and creating a system that it's a habit, and it's a daily habit. As to your point about having a routine, a daily routine, not only a personal routine, but your professional routine. And I don't want to take what you came out with and what you said, because I loved it. I'm going to let you roll with it. You said the take a vitamin. So it's like taking a vitamin
Oh,
every
yes,
day.
yes,
Yes.
it's
And
like
that was great because it's really true. It's like every day to look forward to that and say, you know what, I need to do this. This is part of my daily dose. This is what I do on a daily basis. And stick to it. And you know what? If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up and say I can't get back on track. You can get back on track.
Yeah. For instance, and I'm a big, having come from the staffing business and with all the people that we had working for us, but to get them on the payroll, I set up metrics. And I'm not going into what they were, but I set up metrics and they worked. So if you are in between jobs right now or even looking to change, even in the pandemic, people are still getting hired. It doesn't matter. But more people get hired, more people open new companies, make new connections, face to face on a Zoom, sometimes in a networking event. If someday when we go back to that, that'll be something we will, but it's not going to be right away. But making those connections, I can't say enough about it. I mean, when you look at the statistics on job searching, okay, 1 in 10 people, 10% of people get their job through a referral or someone that they've met. Only 1 in 200 from the black hole of the internet. So that's food for thought. And it's the same thing when you're starting a business. You need to get the word out. You need to talk to people. You need to tell people. If you're in transition, let the whole world know, because somebody might know somebody. Don't think that it all goes through the computer. So set up your metrics. I'm going to talk to 1 person. I'm going to talk to 3 people a day, 5 people, 10 people. I like them to be realistic, because if you put down 20 people a day, that's 100 people at the end of the week. Are you really going to do that? And then you're going to feel like you failed. So put a realistic metric in front of yourself and achieve it.
You know, something is very true, because I have a lot of people that have never had been started in networking. It was foreign to them. And then when they'll approach us, say, well, how do I even get started? And some of them are job seekers. People will come out to the chamber, people will come to an event. And I'll say to them, this is how you meet people. This is how you make connections. To your point, it's a very valid point, is through the referral process. So always be open to that. And even during this time, choose where you're going to spend your time. Very much the same way you have chosen how to spend your time prior to. Only now you can fit more in, because you're taking out the commute piece. You're not commuting. So you actually have more hours in your day to do more connecting and to do more outreach and to have more engagement.
I think that I'm going to go back to the planning and prioritizing. So if you're looking at your business now, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of it. Well, for instance, even let's say a doctor's or a dentist's office. I don't know what they're doing right now to plan on reopening, but that's going to look like totally, we're probably all going to look like people in spacesuits or whatever. But
I can give you an example of what that looks like.
Okay.
When I had to call my eye doctor.
Okay.
Yesterday I spoke to her on the phone. We did a virtual. I had to take a picture, send it to her, blah, blah, blah. She said, well, if I have to meet you in the office next week, she goes, don't be concerned. It's going to look a lot different. She said, I have plexiglass up and I'll be wearing a face shield and a mask. And I require all my patients to wear a face mask upon entering. And there's only 1 person in the waiting room at a time before they go in. She said, but there's plexiglass already set up. So we have a barrier between you and I, besides our mask barrier. She's already implemented that process in her office.
Wow.
Which I found very interesting, and I was looking forward to sharing that with you today.
Interesting. And what else? I mean, I can't imagine what restaurants are. I know it's hard to believe, but I played golf yesterday because the course finally opened, and that was a joke, right? You know that, right? Since I only play like 75 rounds a year because I'm an addict. But completely different. I was carrying my own bag. When I got there, I had to wear a mask. I was carrying my own bag. Then I switched after 9 holes to a cart. I was the only person in the cart. Normally it's 2 people. The tee times were spaced like more than, I think, 16 or 17 minutes apart. So nobody can really be on top of each other. And, you can only practice or putt, use the putting green if you have a tea time, which is very different. I mean, usually people be on the putting green, they're on the, they're all over the place. People sitting on the porch, zero. It almost looked like Armageddon. And when you're done, you're done. That's it. Get your bag. Goodbye. You're not. Speaking of, isn't that funny? The golf pro just called me.
That was your phone.
Ears must be ringing. But a very different look. And when is that going to change? Who knows? Restaurants, are we going to sit in plexiglass? I'm not really sure. If I want to go to a restaurant, that's another thing. Like going back to the pause and reflect and enjoy. Like, I hate to say it because you know that we are both networking banshees, right? We're always running, going, doing. And I'm the consummate extrovert. I am really liking this. I am really liking this time because it's really calmed me down. It's really forced me to introspect. And I hope that's what some of the people here that are listening are getting, that motivation. You come to a thing like this, we can't tell you, do this, check this, check this, check, but know that we're not all in the same boat. Who reads the Wall Street Journal this morning? I think it was this morning or yesterday, Peggy Noonan. She's like a voice of reason, an excellent writer. She said, we're not all in the same boat. We're in the same storm.
Right.
You might be in a yacht and I might only have one oar, but we will eventually be in the same place.
Right.
Assuming we don't have anything extraordinary happen. But that's the point. Everybody's seeing this in a different way. Everybody's reacting in a different way. That's another thing I would say. Reach out to some of these people. Tell them you're having a tough time. In the very beginning, I had to weep every other day, practically, a good, hard weep. And that was just my emotions coming out because I didn't get it. Now I get it. I get it that it's Groundhog Day every day. I don't want to usurp the time, Marcella. Go ahead. You have the program.
Well, that actually was a really good lead-in to about knowing that, we are all going through the same storm, but in different boats, because that's very true. And that's why when you're looking and you're searching for information on what the trends are in your marketplace, should you be looking at the trends in your marketplace, or should you be looking at the marketplace in totality to see what fits for you? Because things are so different. Maybe there's bits and pieces from different industries that may actually apply to you now that you could start to implement, as opposed to because things are different.
And going back to just what I just brought up, I was saying this to, I had a client this morning, a young woman in the financial services business. And, one of the things is she's trying to gain more confidence, and, her clients, they're putting millions, or they're invested in millions of dollars in the marketplace. And, she goes, sometimes I feel like so stupid. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to respond. I go, how much are you reading every day? This is another thing. In all the times that I have re-engineered, it's because I have read something or been somewhere. It's not because I always came up with the brainy idea on my own. Okay, I'm not that smart. So I would go to a conference, and again, or it might be, then it was physical, now it's going to be on the computer, but I would go, I would talk, I would meet, but mostly I would read. And one of the things that I would say to any of you out there, it's just so easy to go on your LinkedIn, and by the way, email me after this if I can help you, if you can't figure it out under the help button. But just, you can curate the material that comes through your feed every morning. You can pick the journal, you can pick the Times, you can pick, Huffington, you could pick anybody that you're, Mark Cuban, you could pick anybody that you're interested, or any periodical Forbes, and they will curate. Of course, everything is an algorithm, so they will look at who you are and what you do, but things will pop up in your feed. Maybe spark something. Maybe you'll see somebody make a comment on something. Maybe you'll connect with that person. And that's what it's about. It's not that something's going to walk up to your front door, someone, and knock on it and say, okay, here's your new job. Here's how your business is going to look. You're going to have to do the heavy lifting. But while you're doing it, you're going to be learning something. And I think that's where we have to be right now, is to be that open to, and if you are, and I know many of us are, if you're stuck in your house alone, or maybe just with your mate, and that's the only person you're seeing, well, then it's, and you know, the news, I mean, yeah, we have to watch it, but not all day long, you know, so do something that adds value. Get yourself a book, a self-help book, anything. You might spark something that you're not going to do just sitting and moping and waiting for things to go back to where they were.
You know, that's very true. And it's funny you just said that about a book, because one of the books that's holding up my iPad is an old book that I have lent out many times, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson, MD. And that's so relative right now. And
Okay, and so I
a
know
long time ago.
a long time ago, but guess what? He reimagined that book, and some of the folks who were on last week might have heard me say this. So the book, the evolution of that book today is called Peaks and Valleys, same author.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the book because, and I'm going to read it again, because there's a young man and he's in the valley and it's so desolate, and he sees this other, you know, older gentleman on top of the mountain. He's doing great, you know, he's happy, he's got money and everything, and he's like, how am I ever going to get there? And I think we're in a valley now. We all are. No matter to what extent, everybody's differing, but we're in a valley. And like I say often, it's not that I want you to look back in the rear view mirror, but sometimes it's important to recognize that you've been in other valleys in your life and you've come through those valleys. Every time you're in one, you think you're never going to get out of it, but you did. Think about, what did you do to get out of some of those valleys that you were in? Because the mountain is there. The mountain is there to climb. It's just, you got to figure it out. And by the way, for those of you who maybe haven't experienced it to this extent, remember, it's going to happen again. So might as well always start to think about looking to the future. As soon as things get better, just always be thinking, how will that look in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What will that look like? Because you know, this is not the last ride of this. It's going to, and that's not to be depressing. It's just, we have to be forward thinking. We have to be ahead of the curve. That's what great businesses do. Even when times are good, they're always coming out with something new and different. Mm-hmm. So going back to Mr. Cuban, I'm going to let you finish, but you know, is there anything else, Marcella, that you wanted to?
Well, no, that was the perfect end up and wrap up, because that's exactly how you started with your direction signal. So you were on point, or on par. What should I say?
You know, I remember when I started the contract staffing business, which, you know, people thought I was nuts. They're like, I don't want a temp job. I'm never going to work temp. I want a permanent job, which of course we know there are none. But at that time, one of my employees took on a black piece of paper, took the word thinker, put it in white, turned it upside down, and I have it still in my office, upside down thinker. And that's what we need to be today again. We really have to think upside down. That's what's going to get us out of this quagmire. So on that note, first of all, I want to thank our producer, Gene Stower. I always want to call him Sour and I get yelled at. So Gene Stower, like I'm sewing. Gene Stower put this whole thing together for us, and he's recording it. And obviously there will be a recording. We will also be sending out everyone's email so you can share and hopefully connect with some of the people on here. But we do want to open the mics. I do hope a few of you have questions. Marcella, anything to add to that? I mean, I hope that we get some chit chat here. We want to know.
Absolutely. No, one of the things that we had mentioned is that, to your point, how you started about go right when everyone else is going left. Mm-hmm. And that was one of your quotes that we found from Mark Cuban. Mm-hmm. So very much to the way your directional story went. That was a great way that it just all looped around. Terri, welcome. You have a question. Hi.
This has been great. Susan rehashed a lot of what we've been doing, even before the crisis really started with the virus. About 18 months ago.
Terri, tell us your business and tell us a little bit about you.
Sure.
Please.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm Terri Trapp. My husband and I own a financial agency in Northwest Jersey. I'm a fourth generation advisor. My grandfather started Great Depression time, and I learned all he had from that. So our philosophy was always prepare for the worst while we're planning for your best life.
Mhm.
That's always been our mantra. So this has been like, we have been prepared for this situation our entire lives and careers. And it's a lot of what you were saying was right on. I was like writing and going, oh yes, see, that's great. The one thing I need to add with the peaks and valleys was that part of what we took, we do a book a month with our team.
Mhm.
And we did peaks and valleys about 6 months ago. And one thing that I posted afterwards was that to look at your best and look at your worst times, learn the lessons from it, and know that you have survived 100% of what life threw at you anyway. So going forward, you want to take what is the best of this, and you want to take what the best was, and then you want to incorporate and reinvent yourself. And that's what we've been doing. So I was like, I got to connect with Susan, because we're
Good, Terri. I'm
spirits on that.
Aww.
And I'm happy because, and you stated it even better, I think, than I did, which is, I don't want people because there are people that go, oh, the way it was, I want to go back there. No. What you're saying and what I'm saying is, remember, you've been in a place like this before. It looked different,
Mhm.
but you got out of it. But you have to know that you got to get through it. That's what we got to
Right.
get through. You know?
Exactly. And I think there was another author that said that you're going to go through stuff, and the best thing is not to stop and look back and go and backtrack, but to actually keep going through the muck.
Right.
Because you got to get to the other side one way or another, and you've learned the lesson of where not to go.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that's as important as, trying to figure out what the golden rearview mirror was.
Mm-hmm.
People are just, I would say, and I've said this, I think I was told this to Marcel last week, that out of all the clients that we rotate in and out, because we work with we have personal clients, we have small business clients, and then we have some larger companies. And I only had one client out of that entire roster that went into meltdown. And I said, apparently I've been doing the right thing. And the biggest compliment was people would call me and say, you've always prepared us for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And we always see the silver lining in the event. And we are actually enjoying the pause, because we're able to be brutal with our schedules. Yeah. And I love what you were saying about the fact that you were purging as much and weeding out those people that were keeping us busy but not bringing us forward.
Right.
And that's been a blessing. And I have to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying not having to drive 45 minutes to attend a networking meeting.
I know, but I have to say now, just being with my friend yesterday playing golf, and there is something to being with people, isn't there? Even though we weren't that close, we're separating and so forth, but wow, like she's really here next to me, a human being.
It was exciting.
Yeah. But yes, you're right, Terri. Yeah.
Right. Saturday was a fun day too, because normally it's a training day. We would normally be down in Edison doing training with our co-op, but Saturday we did the hour meeting, and then my girlfriend called and says, listen, I need you to help me come clean out my garage. She moved into this house 8 years ago and has never opened the doors to actually clear it out. And she goes, today's the perfect day. She goes, you can come over. and she bribed me with some plants.
Okay.
And so we cleared our garage 6 feet apart, but it was like we were there, like you were saying, she was actually there. Like it wasn't virtual.
Yeah.
Because we've been, since it started, we've been doing weekly 15-minute check-ins with everyone on our roster. And so we have a designated day of checking in with people. And I said, listen, there may be days when I call you and I just say, is everybody healthy? Is everything okay? Or how are you feeling? Rather than talking about something on your financial plan.
Right.
But to actually see her, I was like, I want to hug you, but I know I can't.
Right. That's right. Diana Moynihan, I don't know you, so hi. Did we ever meet?
We met about, I'm thinking it's 4 years ago.
I feel like where was that? I feel like I met you. Where did I meet you?
It was one time, it was we only spoke for about 2 minutes. Okay. It was at the Morristown Career Fair.
Okay. So glad to have you here. Anything any thoughts, questions we can answer for you? Anything? Tell us about you, by the way. Remind me.
Well, my name is Diana Moynihan, and I'm working right now to set up a new business. I've ran successful businesses in the past. In fact, I've ran 5 successful businesses, but they're all more, I won't say brick and mortar because I've always ran them from my home, then I'm somewhat of a solopreneur, but I have been successful in them. They've all been profitable. But the last business I had, my business partner, it was the most successful business I had too. I mean, in 6 years, I brought in 350 contracts, including.
What was it, Diana? What kind of a business?
It was a sign language interpreter business.
Oh, interesting.
For the deaf.
Okay.
Yeah, and I brought in 350 contracts in 6 years, 80% federal government, including the White House and the
Wow.
Executive Office of the President. So I had a lot of success, and I had 200 subcontractors working for me. But my business partner took everything I had while I was recuperating from surgery for the next 6 months. And when I came back, I'd spent, you all know this. Sometimes it's 14 to 16 hours a day to get your business started up. So it burned me out and just destroyed me, really. And so I said, I'm going to work for other people. So for 18 years, I worked as an IT project manager for large corporations, as a troubleshooter. So I worked for about 40 companies: AT&T, Verizon, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Federal State Department, HUD, a lot of companies. But that being said, I'm sick of it now. There's so many managers are just psychopaths nowadays, and I just can't take it anymore.
Leadership coaching. Okay. That's true.
So I've decided I'm going to start my own business, but I've spent like 3.5 years trying to decide what I wanted to really sell or what I wanted to do. And it's taken that long really to keep breaking down my own layers to find out what my passion was. Because I do love to help people. I love helping people. And I said, you know what? I've started so many businesses. I love helping people start their own business. That's what I should do. And the niche part of that is in helping them to tell their story. I find that I've done so much research, and I'm talking a lot of research, and a lot of these guru camps and, signing on to memberships. And I've learned a lot, but it's all been, research paralysis, So now I'm at a point where I'm like ready to kind of go forward. I've kind of identified what I want to do, who I want to do it with, who my audience is. I've defined what my business is going to be. So now I saw this, and Susan, to your credit, your business card, I followed you for these last 4 years.
Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Silently, but because I didn't really have anything I wanted to gain, or I didn't have myself figured out yet. So I followed you for the last 4 years, and I was curious, and I've been wanting to come on one of your webinars, and this is a perfect opportunity. So my question to you guys is, because I don't want to talk all the time, I want to hear you.
Yeah,
guys.
because there's another person I want to, go ahead. So.
Well, I can wait.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What are some of your online tools that you have used that have really helped you in your networking and marketing, especially now that we are in this different, changed climate?
Oh, I say LinkedIn.
Marcel.
Well, I'll tell you right up front. LinkedIn is primary in terms of an online tool. And I will say Facebook is secondary. I tend not to use Facebook for personal. I just use it for business. So you'll see one family picture per year around Christmas. Otherwise, the rest is everything that's going on business-wise all the time. And I also use the Facebook events section to post events and invite folks to events that I'm having. So I've used those tools as well.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say LinkedIn and then Facebook, huge tools. Besides, that would come top of mind. And Susan?
Well, I'm the same. And, I do want to, I am on Instagram, and most of it is business. My mastermind group I put on there. A lot of personal, but a lot of business. And I think the next thing, like, I would like to see us put these on Instagram, Marcella. That's what we should be doing, because, you know, we want the younger people coming behind us to be engaged with us. And that's why it's so important to stay relevant. You were in IT, Diana, so you know, I guess
multi-generational. Mhm.
yeah, and that whatever is today, whatever they're teaching in college today for IT, it's already obsolete. You know, so most really great IT people, not most, but many, never even went to college. I mean, it's all self-learned because of the nature of the beast.
Is it the basic LinkedIn that you use though? Because I've used LinkedIn as, you know, a career tool.
No, I use LinkedIn Premium.
Okay,
I
that's
think
what I thought.
there's more functionality on the
Yeah, I
Premium.
figured that was probably true. Okay.
Yeah. I actually did a LinkedIn program, Lunch and Learn, with Marcella last week.
Yes, last week.
And if you're interested in actually a real thorough training from A to Z, I can send you you email me if you're interested, on a sidebar, what that would look like. But there's so much to it. Am I right, Marcella? There's so much.
Absolutely. Yes.
And,
yes.
I use LinkedIn ProFinder, and I can't even tell you how much business I've gotten, and it's very competitive. There are over 1,500 coaches on there. But the thing is, you have to know how to make the pitch. And I think I'm, pretty concise with that. You only have 1,500 words. And in that whole thing, like, I always put my price in there, because I really want them to know this is what it is. Of course have I negotiated? Of course I have, but largely not, because this way I'm not wasting time. I'm not on LinkedIn ProFinder to do things for free. But anyway, so that's another tool that I use, but you have to be premium for that. But if you want to learn more about that, you let me know. And that's actually a program that that's the first one I need to get on my online, tooling here. Andie, we love you. You're so beautiful. We can't see you.
Because I don't look beautiful today. No, just kidding.
Yes, you do.
So, apologies, everybody. This got me. So I was talking to Susan before this morning, and so I didn't have this in my agenda.
Andie's in my mastermind.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. So I was saying, so this was kind of like out of the blue, and then I just come from somewhere else. But anyway, so I promise for the next one, I'm going to look better. Anyway, so just quick intro. My name is Andie Henrich. I'm 47 years old. I met Susan, I would say a month and a half. I would say we just clicked. Like we and we happened to do an exercise together, and it was like hilarious. And it was just looking at her eyes. Of course, it is really terrifying to look at Susan's eyes for like more than 30 seconds, but that blue is like getting to you.
That intensity, yeah.
What do I look exactly? That blue is like, I can't look at that much blue.
Yeah.
What is this? Just get me out of here. But anyway, it was amazing. And I'm very happy to have met her, honestly. So I was saying, just a quick intro on me. I'm from Argentina. So to that, I would say it is funny because we in Argentina, if you might know, we live in continuous crisis. So just for me, being in a valley is like, what are you talking about? I'm surfing this. But, we live in continuous, stress. We never know when the government is going to take our money. It's just horrible. So anyway, so we were talking about this with Susan, and it's it is true. We cannot live in continuous peaks, and we cannot live in continuous valleys. That's just the way it is. Life is about like the whole, coming up and down. So in terms of that, I was telling Susan, I've been laid off of my job. I was the vice president of sales. I've been in the corporate area for over 23 years. I started my career in IBM. It was 18 years at IBM, 5 years in Infosys, another big global IT company, and then lately in Genpact, a European come from GE. So it's a division of business professional services from GE. And I've been laid off because the company said we cannot afford having very expensive professionals in sales right now. We need to take care of our current operation. So in my role, I've always been a hunter, what we call when you go after new logos. So I'm not taking care of the current clients. I go after new logos. So I'm very familiar with LinkedIn. And actually I use the Sales Navigator. because I select the people I want to go after, like the CIO of Tory Burch, the CEO of, that company, the CIO of Tiffany's. I have all those contacts, and that's what I do. I used to chase them, and when they post something, I go and reply to them. So I'm very used to these tools. A comment on that, I think you were saying, Susan, what I built to the person that I forgot her name, right? So the person that was talking before me, I think also the tool that you use, it depends on the audience that you're trying to reach, to reach out to. So if you're trying to reach out to younger people, they don't do Facebook. So you need to really be, understanding who you wanted to reach out to, and based on that, you craft your message, right?
Okay, so, and it's not to cut you off, but we're over our time, because one of the things that I think people like about what Marcella and I are doing is that we try and be brief, brilliant, and gone, so we can come back next week with more information. But perfect example here, and we're going to be sending out everyone's email. Okay, Andie, you need to reach out, or Diana, whoever goes first, I don't care. You've made a connection. Maybe you can help Diana. Maybe Diana can lead you somewhere. You've obviously got some synergy there, okay? And that's what this is about. We don't need 100. We'd love 100 people, but we don't need 100 people. We need that one person that maybe you can, and that's another thing, folks. Give before you get. I'll say it over and over again. If you're the person that can help, and Marcella, you're a big giver.
Absolutely.
You really are. So, is there anybody else that is on here? I see we have a number of people. I don't see all your pictures. If you would like to say anything, raise your hand, or forever keep your peace. We will be back next week.
Yes.
Content will depend upon what happens in the next couple days, right, Marcella?
Yes. Yep. And we'll have that soon to come, and we'll have it out there. But this is going to be a regular Monday at 3 o'clock. So you can look forward to it, and have, let's say, same place, same bat channel, but it's going to be same place, same channel, 3 p.m. on Mondays.
And if you have anything or a topic that you would like to cover, by all means, email us, okay? Because we're open to new ideas.
Please. Yeah. Please. And the connectivity piece, if you have questions between now and next week, or if you'd like additional networking opportunities too as well to explore, please email us as well. So we definitely want to keep the connection from week to week.
Thank you to my co-host, Marcella Gencarelli. Thank you to our producer, Jean Sower. And thank you to everybody who participated today. Andie, I'll be talking to you Wednesday with our group. And Terri, Diana, everybody else out there, thank you so much. And we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a great week, guys.